Is there anything more to be said about this franchise? Such a smart concept, executed well, and an unfortunate gateway for many into the world of Chinese cartoons. While said cartoons never caught on with me, Pokemon was the exception, at least for games. And in reminiscing about my childhood, I started to wonder, could you beat the game with only one Pokemon? Then I realized as an adult, I have the power to answer that question. I just needed a name. Every good scientific experiment was approved on name alone. Don't look that up though. Facts don't need verification. That's why they're facts. And then I thought about it for a moment, and I had it. Greg, the perfect name for a boy. As every good story starts, I'm in the back of a truck. Confused, I immediately started looking for Mom. Found her. Looks like she replaced me with apes. If I had a nickel for every time that's happened, I'd have 2 nickels. Which is a lot of money. I'd really love to have 2 nickels. Wanting to send her child out alone, Mom told me to go find a guy by the name of Birch. Cool. I'm assuming he's called that because he's tall and white. Turns out he's not in his lab. Mom must have lied to me again to get me out of the house and on a walk as usual. Disgusting. Found him. He's being chased by the best little critter in the region. Zigzagoon. I want it, but I have to fight first, after I make a Fallout 3 reference. After picking up the only decent starter in this game, I ran into my first issue. How am I going to beat this game with only Zigzagoon if I don't have Zigzagoon? It was here that I made my first compromise. Technically, if I don't pick a damaging move with Petco, I can't win the battle and therefore have no shot at beating the game. Plus, while Zigzagoon can learn many HMs, it can't learn Waterfall, Dive, or some of the other necessary moves to get past environmental hazards. For that reason, I need to keep a few Pokemon that can learn these moves, but just reload a save if and when Zigzagoon goes down. Making this my strategy, I picked a Leer until the mutant raccoon left the professor alone. When I got back to Birch's lab, I found out he wasn't white and tall. In fact, he almost looked exactly like JonTron. This is cool, but I'm always nervous around celebrities. He wanted me to meet May, and I knew that would lead to a fight, so I declined. He persisted. I declined again. Dang, she must not have any friends. Not having the backbone to stand up to authority, I made my way to Route 103. As expected, she demanded we fight. No problem, I'll just throw the fight and it'll be like in Red and Blue, where the first rival fight doesn't really matter and doesn't count if you lose, I think. Like Mike Tyson did for his fight with Jake Paul, I laid down. But the game gave me a whited out text, witted out? I think it's witted out, whatever, instead of dialogue, and spawned me back at the house. Uh-oh. I have a feeling if I go back up there, don't know if I can get around this one. At this point, the game does not allow you to buy or use Pokeballs. I even checked with random NPCs just to make sure. There's nothing. I can't catch a Zigzagoon. I even asked the professionals over on Reddit. They told me you can't skip this one, and then downvoted me for no reason. So no. Even with my initial compromise, it does not look like we can beat Pokémon Emerald with only a Zigzagoon. But for my torture and yours, I'll run through the rest of the game and only use one in battle going forward. At least this Wingull showed up. Funny story about Wingull. When I first played this game, when I was a small child, I picked Torchic as my starter, of course. I remember being in this area and just getting obliterated by a wild Wingull, since they spawn with Water Gun, or at least have it at a low level. So I made it my mission to catch one, since I thought it was this big, powerful beast. I even nicknamed it Destroyer, but I spelled it wrong. Turned out it wasn't nearly as good as I thought. I don't know why that was the one memory that stuck with me, but I can even remember where I was playing my Game Boy inside of my childhood home when I caught it. And since then, I've always had a bald spot for Wingull. Maybe I should have done this run with one instead. Too late now. I got Herald to level 6, never planning on using it again, and I finally unlocked the only reason I play this game, animal collecting. After running in the tall grass to ensure I picked up many ticks, I found my new pet, a level 2 Zigzagoon. Expecting the first Pokeball to hit, I used my first turn to toss one. It broke free on the last shake. Alright, fine, I guess it'll take 2. Broke out of that one immediately. Fine, strong little bugger I guess. Throwing a third Pokeball only made him angrier. Why did it take 4 of my 5 Pokeballs to catch a level 2 Pokemon? They don't get any weaker than that. Must have been defective. Who makes these? I'm gonna do the American thing and sue them good. Coming up with a name wasn't hard, even if it would have fit a Vaporeon better. If you don't get that joke, good. Keep it that way. With Gooner only at level 2, I decided to stay around Route 101 for a while and got him up to level 10. Picking up Tail Whip and Headbutt in the process. Not without losing to Poochyena though, my first loss. Oh, and another Zigzagoon. My second loss. This is gonna be painful. I'm also aware that I could have modded to replace one of the starters with Zigzagoon, but no, this is much less fun. Now ready to crush other little kids' dreams, I took my bloodthirsty raccoon into battle. I must have bet money or something because every time I win, I get paid. Or maybe I'm a bully, and these kids are just handing me their lunch money. Once I got to Petalburg, I was accosted by a homeless man. He had me follow him to the gym for a special surprise. Not being an idiot, I ignored him and continued on my way. That's the thing about people in Petalburg though, they don't take a no for an answer. Annoyed, I returned to the gym, expecting to be made fun of for my man boobs. Dad was in there, and unlike my real dad, he was still alive. But just like my real father, he made fun of my man boobs. And then some kid named Wally ran in. I really wanted to make fun of him, but my dad made me go watch him try and catch a pocket monster of his own. Probably just to make sure Wally didn't end up hurting himself. Which from an insurance standpoint I get, but what an annoying waste of time. I hope I never see that kid again. I was about to head on to my first real gym when another strange man stopped me. I didn't pay attention to what he said, but I did come up with a great joke. I forgot to write it down. On my way to the spooky forest, I did have a close call with an acorn, so there's that. Youngster Billy nearly ended Gooner with the move Bide, but I was able to just hang on and headbutt said acorn. That makes me wonder, when sea dots die, do they become trees? Like, what if instead of Lavender Town, there was just a forest of sentient trees? Sounds like a great idea to put into a children's video game. Speaking of woods, I interrupted a mugging, and Gooner took down a level 9 Poochyena with little effort. Feeling pretty confident in my over-leveled raccoon, the employee gave me a great ball as a reward, which was pretty neat, but also worthless. I would have preferred some insider info so I could make money in the stock market. After all, what's the point of helping others if there's no personal gain? I did pick up TM9, which is great because I can't use it either, and then I ran into the next obstacle, double battles. I think they were introduced in this generation, and I initially thought you could get around them by just talking to one of the sisters on the dock here, but you can't. Like with the rogue Zigzagoon at the start, I just had Harold use Lear over and over again so that he wouldn't be doing any actual physical damage. May already made us fail the run anyhow, but unlike school, I'm not gonna keep failing. After beating up some guy's fish, I skipped past the first gym. Opting instead to battle some of the trainers on Route 116, I was able to get Gooner to level 15, which maxes Roxanne's best Pokemon. Now, people who are actually good at this game could have probably seen this coming from a mile away. I couldn't because I don't have my glasses on. I figured this out against the trainers inside the gym and immediately felt my stomach churn. Level 15 or not, there's no way I can outmuscle even her level 12 Geodude, let alone nose pass. My first attempt is a failure and I'm sent home packing. Come to think of it, I bet I could use Sand Attack a ton and make her attacks miss. Or I could just power level Gooner into the 20s. You know what they say, the best part of any Pokemon game is the grinding. You know what sucks? I can't get through the cave system until I pass the first gym. Great game design, horrible for this challenge. Now I've got to sit here and try to grind into the 20s, fighting level 6 and 8 Pokemon like I'm a 7th grader fighting a kindergartner. There's no real win here, only humiliation. Worse still, I got to level 20 and Gooner wanted to evolve, which I can't allow him to do since he would stop being a Zigzagoon. No, I don't have footage of it. I was grinding off camera. Since I was getting tired of grinding, I tried the gym again. My strategy this time was to spam Sand Attack and then just wear down Geodude with Tackle and a well-timed headbutt or two. Oh, good grief, I can't use Tackle. Best I can do is cry and hope for a critical. And then I got one. And then Roxanne used a potion. Thankfully, I got another critical, but I'm not sure how many of those potions she has. One of my saving graces is Sand Attacks. Since both Rock Throw and Rock Tomb have less than 100 accuracy anyways, using Sand Attack helped in that I didn't really have to worry about taking on that much damage. Naturally, she switched to using Defense Curl. Defense Curl? More like I wanna hurl. I think she only has one potion, or she just let that Geodude die. If that's the case, she's a horrible person. Oh, she does have another one, because she used it again, and plenty of defense curls. It got to the point where Tackle was doing 1 damage and Headbutt was doing maybe 5? I don't know, man, I just want to go home. I'm sure the CIA is going to use this challenge to break people going forwards, and at this point, I think I'd rather be waterboarded. Her nose pass opened with a block. Gooner can't escape now, not like I was going to switch him out anyways. From here I spam my last 5 Sand Attacks, hoping to turn Nose Pass into a Stormtrooper. Each time, she countered with a Harden, and just like James Harden, this sucks now. I have 3 Tackle PP left. I'm out of Sand Attack. I have a full Odor Sleuth and 11 Headbutts left. She probably has a potion, and I already stacked 4 Hardens. I'm cooked, aren't I? Of the 3 tackles I had left, 2 of them missed. Each time she responded with another Harden. A berry. Her godforsaken Easter Island mother had a berry! Gary, I can't anymore, man. I have nothing. I have no items to restore PP, no Viagra, no moves that deal damage left. I do have some health items, but my only move left is Odor Sleuth with a full 40 PP, and I have to drain it entirely to be able to use the move Struggle. Dude, I even used an X attack. But hang on, Gunnar has an item. I don't know what it is because you can't take it in battle. I guess we'll sit here and use Odor Sleuth until either I die or this Easter Island rock from hell does. Oh my god, it worked! Oh, good Lord in heaven, praise Jesus Christ, praise Mother Mary, I did it! I punched Squidward's house in the face! I had so little hope!
Woo! Yeah!
I had a few potions and one super potion. I got lucky with a lot of her damaging attacks missing, which I then waited until Gunnar had about 8 health before I used a super potion. Roxanne was able to get a few hits off, but it must have also ran out of moves because she started spamming Harden. But then she had used it so much that it was no longer effective, which essentially got us in a race to the bottom, where each of us was trying to use the rest of our moves up, but I had a head start. Something I didn't realize was that Struggle does recoil damage, but thankfully it's only about 1 damage, so I was able to survive and continuously beat on her nose pass until it submitted. She must have only had the 2 potions, or just wanted it to end, since Roxanne did nothing, even with low health. This is the most excited I've been over a Pokemon game since I was 8. I'm not kidding. I need to take a break. My gaming chair is all wet. Alright, that's enough of a break. I took a year off. Where was I? Oh yeah, hiding in my childhood games because the real world is too big and scary. Anyways, this guy must be scared too, since he sent a 10-year-old child off to get company product back that he lost. What an upstanding citizen. He's certainly got enough brains and morality to run for office. Too bad he's way too young for Congress. Speaking of Congress, this old dude was walking his exotic pet and somehow got lost in this massive cave. I took about 3 steps inside and then I realized, why on earth is this any of my problem? So I left. I don't have to follow the game rules.
I've had it up to here with you, rules!
Never mind, guess I do. On a side note, I love the Team Aqua battle theme here. Too bad I only heard like 10 seconds of it because my raccoon sprinted headfirst into a dog and knocked it down. Understandably, the dude gave me back the corporate contraband, and then Mitch McConnell thanked me for getting him his bird back. He said I could come with him on his next trip to China. I said I wanted info on some stocks, like insider info. He laughed and said it would be illegal. You know, for me, not him. I know one company's stock I'd sell, and that's Devon Co. Not only do they have security standards so low that this one guy was able to steal an important package, but the CEO had enough time on his hands to meet with a 10-year-old because one guy said he was helpful. Clearly, he's not doing anything important. Actually, you know what? Check that. Maybe I would buy Devon stock because they just asked the same child to deliver goods for them for free. Child labor is a great way to cut costs. Just ask Nike. I guess it wasn't completely free. I did get a great ball for my troubles, which is nice, I guess. Sold it for like 5,000 yen, which I think is 5 cents or something. Then my stupid annoying rival showed up like a jerk. She even insulted me and threw a George Lopez at me. I sure hope one of the 3 of you watching got that reference. Subscribe, by the way. I promise to have another video out in less than a year this time. After kicking her stupid dumb lily pad in the face with my super cool rabbit or whatever, I went about throwing sand in the face of her chicken. Did it about 3 or 4 times for good measure. Don't really know why because Gunnar still got burned. And then I got burned. Had to use a super potion. Those cost at least 1 great ball. In thanks for beating up her pets, May gave me $900 and told me to go see the old man again. Don't know how Bill Clinton is gonna help me, but I definitely need to get to the next gym. I've been told it's on a private island. This is exactly something that I'll give the Generation 3 games credit for. How big the map felt on such limited hardware. This was my starting point in the Pokemon games. I ran a copy of Sapphire into the ground as an 8-year-old, and on replaying this, I really appreciate just how varied the early game is. The sea trip helps a lot with this feeling. Anyway, I won't bore you with personal details. A grown man flashed me. He said I couldn't use it until I went to the gym, but I went splunking anyways. Can't tell me what to do. I beat up some disgusting Gen 3 Pokebugs like Sableye and Aaron and really wanted to catch a Zubat, but that's not part of the challenge. What's really funny in the script too, I wrote Zubat like zoo, but you can't see that, so I guess it doesn't count. What is part of the challenge is bumping my face into every corner of this dumb cave, and now I've run out of things to say. Boy, this is dull, isn't it? Never mind, who came up with this? Seriously, there were no other animals to copy? They had to move on to fat people? He looks like something my dad would draw on a napkin and say, hey, you look like this, go to the gym. Speaking of gyms, I finally made it to Steven, which is kind of cool I guess, but instead of giving me money, he gave me a useless TM, Steel Wing. I wonder how many Great Balls I can buy with it. I thought I'd be smart and sneak off to Slateport before facing the second gym. I really don't want to have to go through the same mental strife that it took to get past the first gym, so I figure if I go and train in a higher zone, I'll be able to come back and hit it in one go, which is kind of the opposite of how it's supposed to work, right? Like you're supposed to train at the gym so you can be better outside. At least that's what real gyms are for you to become a better public nuisance. Take me, for example. I went to the beach with my pet raccoon and immediately got into fights inside the lemonade stand. I beat a child, a woman, and Lardo for 12 bottles of soda pop. It got my gooning skills to level 22, which is nice, but nowhere close to my red tube ranking. I exited from Slateport down the cycling road, but the game decided that I had to beat the gym in Dewford first. How restrictive. 0 out of 10 gameplay. No, but I did decide to turn around and loiter in public spaces. I did find a small business run by an old man who said he'd rate my name for Gooner. And honestly, I wanted to see how a game from 2005 would react to language from 2021. He liked it, probably trying to get money or something, but then he asked if he could suggest something different. And I was genuinely intrigued to see what this game would come up with. But get this, he wanted me to come up with something. What kind of business is this? I'm supposed to do your work for you and then pay you? This is worse than self-checkout lines. Worse still, I couldn't get out of the name screen. Part of me wanted to come up with something funnier, but I only have like 3 jokes, so the name stays. As embarrassing as it is. My own personal D-Day continued as I stormed the beach. Old men, children, maladapted adults, none of them could get past the 10-year-old with a pet he kept in a ball. Each time Gooner leveled up, he kept trying to evolve. It was annoying. Gonna have to find some sort of way to keep him from evolving. Maybe I'll give him anxiety. Sure, it may cripple him for life, but it'll make my role as a parent that much easier. Oh, did I say parent? I meant
Pokémon trainer.
Once I got him to about level 26, I felt like I had a decent shot. Was I wrong? Oh boy, was I wrong. Brownie had like a level 16 Machop, which is no problem, because I can hit it with a headbutt or 3 and... Why didn't any of you tell me fighting moves were super effective? Actually, now that I think about it, I'm sure some of you knew it right as soon as you saw the video title. And you still didn't tell me? I'm not saying I'm mad, but you aren't invited to my 42nd birthday party. Now, how am I going to get out of this one? Well, that's just the thing about Pokemon games. If you can't get yourself out of a situation with strategy, you can always use brute force. Good thing I don't have, a life or anything. No stupid wife to be like, hey, come do the dishes. And I'd be like, I can't, I'm training Pokemon. Anyway, so at level 30, I decided to go back in. I'm about double the level of Bronco's Pokemon at this point, even replaced Tackle with Covet. This will hopefully let me take any berries off of his critters and do a little damage on the side. Can you believe we're 4,000 words into the script and we have just 1 badge? I can. This is getting on my nerves. One of the other things I forgot to mention is that Baldi has Bulk Up on 2 of his Pokemon, so if he decides to just spam that move and tank my attacks, this could end very quickly. Hopefully for the last time, I took a ride on a big white boat and then took on the second gym. Bobby tossed his Machop at me first, and I was worried since my level 30 Zigzagoon didn't win on the first hit. This allowed Machop to use Bulk Up, which raises both his attack and his defense. Plus his health is on orange, which might make the AI use a potion, but he didn't. I got another headbutt away, and I took home the first battle. Next up was his whatever. This battle went almost in the same order. I attacked first, got his health into orange, and then finished it off with a headbutt, but that was all just a warm-up. His last critter is a level 19 Makuhita, and I lied earlier. I know exactly what this is. I was just trying to be funny. But what is no joke is my plan. First, I'll hit him with a Covet. This move deals a little bit of damage and might steal a held item, which I just said. He happened to have a citrus berry, and as a bonus, the move did just enough damage to keep him in the green and away from using a potion. My biggest fear is that if I use a headbutt now, it won't end him, but it will get him low enough to use a potion, and then he'll win. I can only hope he doesn't get a critical. Yes, and because I stole his berry, I go right back to 41 health. I just hope a good headbutt will be enough. And it was! I knew it! I'm the best Pokemon player in the world! Oh, you thought beating the Elite Four with a gym full of legendary Pokemon was cool? Well, I just beat the second gym on my 4th try or something. Look out, Wolfie. Look out, other people that are good at this game. Look what I just did! I lost to May. Yeah, her stupid chicken and thing. Yeah, I'm not kidding. Here's what happened. Full of piss and vinegar, I went to finally continue the gripping story. I'm going to this little town to do something because... Well, anyways, by the time I was back in town, I was full of just vinegar, and I knew I had to find Captain Stern. I found a guy with glasses and even a bald dude, but none of them were the captain, which was surprising because they both looked like people who'd be in authority. I finally found the captain, who looked like Ben Shapiro, in the middle of the museum, which is horrible because it cost me like 50 yen to get in there. I know it doesn't seem like much, but that's a quarter of my winnings per trainer battle, and I didn't even get anything for it other than the mandatory monologuing from some guy. What was his name? Archie? Brucey? I thought I was gonna have to fight him, but I didn't, and he just kind of let me win. I'm not really sure if they were holding the captain hostage or not because the game didn't tell me. Now, where are we? Oh, right. May made me cry, and not like normally with women where they tell me I'm fat and smell bad. I'm used to that, but no, she robbed me. Like any normal crackhead, I found her under a bridge, and I could not get out of a conversation with her. Naturally, this led to us fighting. I had let Gunnar stay paralyzed from a previous battle to prevent other statuses from popping, completely forgetting about the scripted fight. So despite the fact that I was immune from statuses like poison and, frankly, more paralyzes, I think it cuts your speed down, which is like the one thing that Gunnar has, and that's why he got kicked in the face and cried. And then I cried. When I finally did get past her into Mauville City, I realized that I've been terrible about doing side quests. Not that they're needed, but just like real life, it can be fun to discover all the neat conversations you can have with people when you kick down their doors at random and interrogate them. This nerd was hiding Rock Smash under the floorboards. It's mine now. Speaking of nerds, I found Wally outside the third gym. He asked me if I could fight him. I said no because I didn't want to get my Zigzagoon dirty, but he wouldn't leave until I decided to fight him. Great game design there, Game Freak. Why even give me the option? I did think it was funny that I beat him with one headbutt, but that's what I get for being almost double the level of his Poke creature. I'll go back in time a bit, since before actually taking him on, I fought some of the trainers around Mauville. Gunnar got to level 33, which is pretty important. At level 33, Zigzagoon learns a move called Flail, and in Gen 3, Flail gains more power the lower on HP you are. There's a little more to it, but for video purposes, all you need to know is that there's a general strategy that started to form in my head. Some of you may have already guessed it before clicking on the video, but let's just pretend you didn't, for the rest of the viewers who may not get it yet. Or for me, who had no idea how valuable this was until I looked into this move. In order to learn it, I had to delete Odor Sleuth, which is kind of crazy because I didn't even know I had the move in the first place. I can see its usefulness, sort of, but I just never called it. I gave Harold Rock Smash so that at least he can do something useful, since I only let him out in double battles, and even then he's only allowed to use Leer. Let's see, what else is worth talking about? Oh yeah, the only common Pokemon giving me issues at this point are Magnemites and Errands. But look at this, whee! I'm so happy! Yay! Gym leader had like 6 of these. Okay, well he has 3, but he super glued them all together, so technically I'm right. I tried getting around them by using Sand Attack as much as I could, but even the 14 levels ahead of his Magneton or whatever, Gunnar is just not strong enough to overcome his own moves not being very effective. My best bet was to blow all of my money on potions and just out-heal Watson's team. I got through his Nurbit and Electrike by using a combo of both Covet and Headbutt. Covet does enough damage without doing too much for the AI to use potions, just like the last gym, and then Headbutt does enough to end it. When I got back to its Megaton, my initial thought was to tank damage and spam Sand Attack to lower accuracy, but now that I think about it, I think it does nothing to the accuracy of the move Shockwave because it didn't miss once. But here's where I would get the move Flail to shine. I'd use a combination of potions and super potions to get Gunnar near full health. But this would give Watson 2 free moves. This would get Goner... I wrote Goner in the script here. I guess I can't write or talk so good. Anyway, he'd be at almost no health, and get off a flail, and then heal. Rinse and repeat about 1,000,000 times until he finally missed a thunder attack. And this allowed me to get the inside edge and finally win. His final Pokemon, Mantrick, whatever. It went down so much easier and I secured that 3rd gym badge. At least now we can get back to the riveting story. I freed Wally's cousin's boyfriend from a tunnel like he was baby Jessica, though this does bring me back to my first real positive point about Emerald in the Gen 3 map. Let me take the feeling of expansion a little bit deeper. Take the tunnel I just opened up. It leads all the way back to the first gym, which itself feels like a lifetime ago just based on distance, let alone playtime. And the region itself is varied, from the deserts to the volcanic mountains, to later on where there's rain and tall grass and oceans. It really helps separate Gen 3 from the prior two, aside from just the admittedly strange designs of the new Pokemon. It's at this point that I run into the next terrorist group, Team Magma. Their plan is to create cheap real estate for everyone by expanding the world's landmass. Of course, being employed by BlackRock, we can't let that happen. How convenient that their objective is the exact opposite of Team Agua, who are a bunch of water sports enthusiasts. Freaks. Game freaks, if you will. After battling Team Magenta, I got Zigzagoon to level 41. This was the second part of my plan. See, Belly Drum maximizes your attack while halving your health. This means I'll have max damage and an automatic boost to the move Flail, since I'll be at half health at best. The only problem was that I got rid of the move Headbutt instead of Covet. I think my reasoning was that Covet had 40 more move points while Headbutt and Flail had 15, but later I found a PP up. I think I made that joke already. And got Flail to 18 move points, so ultimately I think this was a mistake, just like repeating the Viagra joke again, but I'm leaving that in too. Regardless, it let me beat Magma Leader Maxie on my first shot, and I really started feeling myself, which is silly because I'm about double the level of most of the Pokemon I'm going to face until Gym 7. But just to show the power of Belly Drum Flail, look at what I'm able to do to a tanky Pokemon like Camelrupt. By the way, the leader fights have an awesome soundtrack in this too. I know I've ragged on Gen 3 plenty, but I really do like it. I think one of my biggest issues with the story at this point is that it just feels like I'm going places because the game put obstacles in my path to progressing, and not because I'm particularly interested in the story. But then again, maybe I'm asking too much. By the time I reached Flannery, Gunnar was already level 43, and Harold's disease had transformed him into a flying bug or pest of some kind. I thought Gym 4 with Flannery was going to be much easier than it was. By this point, by using Belly Drum to open a battle, and then Flail, I'm able to pretty much one-shot anything. But of course, this is also in part because I'm very over-leveled for this gym, and I still managed to lose twice. The first battle, I set up Belly Drum versus her Numel, which allowed it to hit me with Magnitude, which I thought worked in my favor since it lowered Gunnar's HP to 39. It sort of did, since I was able to take care of both Numel and Slugma in one go, but her Camelrupt was able to survive the first hit. From there, it used Overheat, and that ended my first try. While being incompetent, I'd like to think I'm not stupid, so I planned for it this time. When I got to Camelrupt the second time, I instead used a super potion to get Gunnar back up to basically full health. Since Flannery had used Sunny Day, it was extra potent, but Gunnar was able to only go down to 25 health, which is a net positive since he started at 39. From here, I was able to end Camelrupt in one shot and felt pretty good about Torkoal. But I shouldn't have, because her Torkoal took my attack like a champ and used Overheat to finish off my second attempt. Okay, trial and error. Except I'm the error, and my crimes against Pokemon are on trial. Wait, no. I mean, my strategy's bad, not like... whatever. At this point, no one's watching this far into the video anyways. I can say anything I want. Something crazy, like insane, like I don't know, just... On my third attempt, I just healed again instead of using Flail, and I won. So yeah, I'm pretty good. Only took 3 tries to beat the 4th gym. You know, I bet most people by this point aren't losing any battles against the AI. Man, I wish I were other people. The story from this point is basically just go to the next gym so you can get Surf. Now, in every single Pokemon game ever, Surf is required to get around the rest of the map. But unfortunately, I don't really want to add it to Gunnar's moveset since I can't get rid of it later. I have to figure something out. I did lose to a random trainer in my dad's gym though, so that was fun. Put that in the L column. Never knew how to get a Zangos, but I think you have to feed Zigzagoon Drano or something? Not sure. But it did prep me for fighting my own father. If that sounds like a troublesome childhood, don't worry. If Seinfeld has taught me anything, and it hasn't, it's that a childhood trauma only makes you more funny and bald.
Stop crying and fight your father.
I think you can take him, Georgie.
Well, I'm bald and short. Does that count for anything? Must not have had enough trauma in my childhood because I can't get past my father. He's better than me in every way. Is there nothing I can do? Oh yeah, over level. Even at level 50, slacking is still king of the ring. I can't seem to figure it out, since the battle usually goes in a very specific order. I go first, use belly drum, set up flail. Then his Splenda uses teeter dance to get me confused. I use the yellow flute to bring Gooner back, and Norman counters with another teeter dance. At first I figured we'd just keep doing this until he used a different move, but eventually I just went for it and used flail anyways while confused. I got lucky and hit on my first date. Try. This let me use the yellow flute, and I hoped he'd use some sort of attack to lower my health further. But no, he used yawn. Just has to be as annoying as possible, doesn't he? Predictably, my Zigzagoon falls asleep after using covet. The whole reason I did that was to prevent slacking from having a low enough health that the AI would use a potion. But now, at half health, it would seem as though it's over. That is, until my father tried to use counter. What a moron. I knew he had bad genes. Wait. But after this, I got some great luck. Gooner woke right back up. I got his slacking down to about 40% health and finished him with a flail. Finally! Geez, at least now I can just one-shot the rest of his team. Really showed him who's boss and forced him to hand over that 5th badge. What a jerk. You know what? Just cause he pissed me off, I'm gonna go sleep with his wife. How far is Little Root from here? Nah, never mind. Wally's stupid uncle's bothering me again. His failure of a kid is missing, and he needs me to go find him. He's somewhere in the ocean, so he gives me surf to get him. You know, I can't really blame him. If Wally was on a boat, I'd push him overboard. But here's my next question. I'm going to need to add to my team with a water type, but I have very little options. I don't have a fishing rod, I don't know where to get one, or never mind, I just don't care. You know, thinking back to that story about me and that Wingull from when I was a kid, I think I'll get a Wingull. There, I got it, and I even spelled the name wrong too. Even added some useless naming to it to be funny. Aren't I clever? I guess not, because this thing can't learn surf. Really? I swear I remember this thing using surf when I used it before. It knows other water moves, why not this one? Alright, fine, this one's broken. Let me just throw it away for another Zigzagoon, which I don't want or need. The thing is, I already used my cool and iconic name for Zigzagoon. What can I possibly name something that I don't want and don't need and that is also incredibly annoying? Oh, easy. Stepson. Welcome to the team. Hey, carry me and my friends around in the water while we talk about how much we hate you. Don't tell him I said this, but it is nice that I can pair him with Gooner for double battles, so I don't have to worry about not using a Zigzagoon in a battle situation now. Again, keep this between us. If he knows that I don't actually hate him, he won't grow up to be a famous athlete that can support my gambling and alcohol addiction. Speaking of things I don't want or need, Watson was standing in the middle of the street. At first I thought the dementia had finally got to him, and for his own good, I wondered about running over him with my bike. Trust me, I know it sounds like I'm the crazy one, but you had to be there. It made sense at the time. Ironically, I'm the one who forgot what he told me to do, and I went on about my life. One person who won't leave me alone is this Steven guy. Just as I was making my way up to Route 119, he marched right up to me to say hi, and that was it. You know, there's a concept in writing that says every scene should drive the plot forward in some way. I'm really happy that Game Freak decided to ignore that here. I have time, why not waste it? I actually legit don't know why that conversation is even in the game. Like with NPCs, it's easy to just give them some flavor text, I get it, but here my progress was halted for absolutely no reason. Onto something more positive, I do just want to reiterate how awesomely varied the map is again. I mean, look at this. The taller grass here and the rocky terrain, it just makes it feel so different from the rest of the map. And I don't think either of the first 2 gens really did that effectively. And later on, it even starts to rain and it just adds another layer on top of it. And I'm sure the later gens follow a similar philosophy, but I do want to give credit where it's due. Not in the Pokemon design department though. What on earth is this thing? No, I don't care if it's powerful or not. I hate it. They just kind of forced it on me. I really wanted to say no. Trust me, I got rid of it immediately, like my first ever date who ditched me at the mall. I can't blame her though. It's probably the same reaction I had to this thing. Here, some of my rambling has gotten confusing. Let me go back and just explain a little bit about what happened. After talking to Steven, I lost to a random bug trainer on Route 123. Now you might be saying, how did you manage to do that? Actually, he probably didn't say anything. I'll bet this is on in the background while you're doing something far more interesting. Let me know what you're doing instead of watching my suffering in the comments below. Basically, I got overconfident and lost to a bug type half my level because I used belly drum when I was already at half health. The AI used bind, and then that was it. How embarrassing. Still not as embarrassing as playing a 20-year-old children's game on YouTube, but you know. After reloading and taking my revenge, I stopped by this old couple's house to tell this man's wife that I am damp. She gave me a berry for my troubles. To be honest, I don't know which one of us is senile in this scenario. Maybe it's both of us. Honestly, it makes me look forward to my days in the nursing home. I get to make new friends every day, and neither of one of us will remember if we've met before. I then lost again to a random trainer. This time it was to his... I don't really know what this thing is. A squeamish? I'm not sure, but it looks like it belongs on a pizza. And yes, I know the name is right there at the top of the screen, but I feel like Pokemon would be that much better if they just made us guess the names all the time. But the reason why I lost this battle again was due to my mistaken assumption that my level 52 would be enough to steamroll most opponents. But then again, this wouldn't be a challenge, would it? So while I used Covet, the AI used Absorb to stay afloat, then hit me with a Mach Punch. I'm not even mad by this point, I'm just tired and frustrated. On reload, I just set up Belly Drum again and knocked a Squishmitten out with a flail. Honestly, should just be my default at this point, but it's not. That brings us to the ugly Pokemon in the building. I went in because I had to progress the game, and at this point, this non-existent plot is getting in the way. Team Aqua was a joke, but at least Admin Shelly was kinda hot. Hey, she called me cute first. I'm not the pervert here. After clearing the weather station, I gained no information as to why Team Aqua was here, and they left. There's one line about them needing to follow Team Magma to Mount Pyre, but I don't know where that is. And that brings us up to speed, just in time to get into another rival battle. I don't think I'm losing to May again. I set up Belly Drum, and then I just used Flail to one-shot her whole team. This is what's so frustrating. I'm over-leveled, yes, but I have about one way that I can win every battle. Again, the nature of the challenge, I brought this on myself, but it makes me want to wrap this up sooner rather than later. 22 pages into the script, and I'm all out of jokes and only about 5 badges in. How about we just stop now and say, this is probably doable. But you know what? I've already made the decision to be a pathetic YouTuber, I might as well own it. I really like the design of Fortnite City, both in its uniqueness and in the music, which I feel like can help sell any town in a Pokemon game. The gimmick of this town is that there's an invisible wall in front of the gym. Ooh, mysterious. Oh, never mind. Steven just gives you the answer. It's a Pokemon! Whee!
Who's that Pokemon? It's Pokemon!
You know, thinking back on this, I wonder if this area was just one of the last ones designed by Game Freak. It's like they felt like they had to put something in order to put in some sort of obstacle to get to the gym, and they just ran out of ideas. And the fact that you basically never run into this obstacle again is annoying. Compare this to the Gen 1 encounter with Kevin James, Snorlax. You need to use the flute to clear the path, but the item itself has use just beyond the encounter. Here, all that happened is that an obstacle was put down only to delay the player and then immediately give us a solution. It's just the source of my frustration here, honestly. On to more positive design in this gen. I love the fact that the reflective puddles and the detail of the water sprites at your feet, but only on certain tiles. And look at this. That beautiful cloud reflection on the water. Mwah. It's like putting oregano on Chef Boyardee. It's art and it's beautiful. It was here that I made my first trip to Lily Cove and was about to finally set up the rest of my moveset for the challenge. From here on out, I'll have just these 4 moves to complete the rest of the game with. But first, I have to end May's career as a duelist. No, seriously, she basically quits after you win this battle, which is another huge minus for the story here. Your final battle against your rival, if you can even call the relationship between the characters a rivalry, is just a complete letdown. If you choose the tree like I did, May/Brandon or Brandon, whatever, doesn't even have a Blaziken, just a level 34 Combuskin. With a single Belly Drum Flail combo, I ran through her whole team, and it's just sort of outside of the department store. I know very little can rival the Gary rivalry and nostalgia, and even the story arc they gave Silver in Gen 2, but this?
Pretty lame, Millhouse.
Yeah, I know, I've been quoting The Simpsons a lot in this, but I just think they're neat. I even got jaundice, so my skin can be yellow too. On the rooftop of the department store, there's an NPC who gives the move Substitute. In Gen 3, this move cuts your health down by 25%, and then allows a doll to take any attacks for you until it's destroyed. This can break the AI, considering they'll still go for moves that will lower stats, which Substitute makes you invulnerable to. So now the setup is Substitute first to cut my health down by 25, then Belly Drum to max out my attack and cut my health down by another 50%, then using Flail with maxed attack stats. You'd think I'd never lose another match, but you'd be wrong. After replacing Sand Attack with Substitute, I had just one more move to set up. See, as far as I can tell, my only weakness now is to ghost types. All my moves are normal, which means that I can't hit ghosts and there just happens to be a whole Elite 4 trainer with only ghost types. You know, now that I'm writing this, you can really tell this whole game was made in Japan and not China. I don't see any nets on the side of the department store. Hey, how much social credit do you think I lost because of that joke? A lot? Can't be any worse than my real credit score. I'm here because I want to be, not because I have to be. On top of the mountain, there's a very special tool that'll help us later. I'll just have to avoid the few trainers here, and I lost again. Twice. To this guy, Black Belt Xander, which sounds like a failed 90s toy. Seriously, his hairy arms or whatever Makuhita evolves into keeps hitting me with Whirlwind, which threw off the whole belly drum substitute setup. It took me a whole 2 tries to get by him, which sucks, because by this point, I was just trying to get through this game by playing as little of it as possible. That's how you know you're playing a good game, when at some point you completely disengage from the core mechanics of it. Alright, Gym 6, let's get going. We all know how this is going to end. More sadness. Hey, at least Fortree City is cool. I used the Devon scope for the first and last time. Imagine that. We're a whole 2 pages later in the script, and my feelings about this stupid device haven't changed a bit. Now, of course, I'm not offering any sort of alternatives here because it's much easier to complain about something than actually offering solutions. I don't want fixes. I want to be loud. Now, where was I? Oh yeah, I beat Gym 6. Easy. Should I go into detail about it? You're probably studying or working or maybe even sleeping. Hey, wake up! It's Pokemon time! Did I get you? I bet I did. I bet you're like, oh man, that was so spooky and unexpected. I just love this video and I'm going to share it with all my friends and clergy. Anyway, if you were asleep, I'll catch you up. We were just complaining about a children's game that was integral to my childhood. I guess that makes me ungrateful. But at least it goes along with the fact that I'm unrepentant. Wait, I don't know what that word means. Well, I know what I hate, and I hate Mount Pyre. I'm here because I have to be and not because I want to be. And this section right here is my biggest gripe and probably last complaint, about this gen's game design before I get into some of the really positive stuff. See, all the way back when the scientist man gave me the condom Pokemon or whatever this thing is, Team Agua said in a line of dialogue that they should go to Mount Pyre. Now, in a lot of other games, I would praise this as a nice subtle writing about how you're supposed to explore areas of the map, but maybe encouraged to go to this one area without forcing you to go anywhere necessarily that you don't want to. But it's different here. The way I see it, the established loop of this game is to travel to the new town. There either isn't or there is a gym that you can't access until you deal with the thing in the story, and then you battle, and then you go back and you beat the gym and unlock the next area. But here there is no gym. And you can't progress until you remember that 2 hours ago, the game hinted at going to Mount Pyre. Now, I'll grant you the fact that I might be stupid, and the word might there is doing a lot of heavy lifting. I've misspelled my own name on more than one occasion, but my point is that it just seems to be too vague of a clue to go to Mount Pyre, or at least maybe there should have been a hint to go there in the town or something. Now, again, feel free to disagree. In fact, I won't even get mad if you told me that I'm a big dumb moron with no face and my whole family got died, lol, because that's the great thing about opinions. They're all wrong except mine. Man, this video is getting long. Just wait until I have to do a GTA one. Alright, so check this out. I was so ready to fight the Team Hunger boss here that I went all the way back to Lily Cove and got more potions and everything, and I get all the way back up the hill and this coward won't even fight me. Maybe I should go easy on Archibald here or whatever his name is. We've got the same life philosophy. Now, while you might be thinking that I'm going to complain about the game design again, what with the letdown of not fighting the Aqua boss and all, and the subsequent backtracking to the Team Magma hideout, I actually want to highlight a story positive here. Both teams feel like an actual threat here, and it starts to finally show up once you get to this point, which is nice, you know. We're only 10 hours into the game here, and we finally have some sort of semblance of a plan from the bad guys. No, but it is a huge improvement on the villains from the first 2 gens. Honestly, I can't even remember what Team Rocket wanted in the originals, and I'm not going to look it up so that way it makes my point look stronger. Another huge point, S-tier music. In case you were worried, I blitzed through his team like a little historical event you may have heard of. You know, the one that the term blitz comes from? It was from an era you might have heard of called the Korean War. And if you hadn't heard of it, all you need to know is that we won and we're awesome. You know what isn't awesome? The game direction again. Like, there's nothing telling you or even hinting at the fact that you have to go all the way back to Slateport to continue the game. I don't know. I guess I'm just trying to wrap up the game at this point. I'm feeling pretty good, but also forced, like I have to run around this stupid map. So I get to Slateport and Ben Shapiro's Game Boy gets stolen again, and it's a huge deal because he brought it from home, and of course it's up to us to get it back because we're the main character, which means that we need to travel all the way back to the top of the map again in order to progress.
H-I-J, please God, let me stop.
Nothing happens, I win, I get to go to the 7th gym and one-shot everything because I'm level 63. Just thinking about editing this makes me sick. Maybe I won't edit any of this, and I could just throw the raw footage up on YouTube. I just don't know anymore, dude. Why am I doing this? Oh yeah, to tell dumb jokes, and to justify being a 47-year-old loser who still plays video games in his grandma's basement. Speaking of dumb jokes, do you ever wonder about food in Pokemon World? I thought about it because I'm fat. There's a lot of people in various regions and they all gotta eat, and clearly humanity's in like an industrial age, so do you think they have slaughterhouses in Pokemon Land? Are there just entire factories filled with mill tanks? Are there like breeding spadoinks for processing and bacon? Are there Pokemon rights activists that yell at you not to eat meat? See, the thing is, you can't really be a vegan in Pokemon World because you'll pick up an acorn or whatever and it'll have a face and spit at you and stuff. I might go the other direction. I would willingly throw a Seedot in a pot of boiling water and mix in an Oddish 7. Don't look at me like I'm weird. You can't tell me you haven't thought of a delicious roast Pidgey. Speaking of weird and annoying jokes, I've lost to Gym 7 twice now and I'm sick of it. I actually had to come up with a strategy again, which was kind of fun but also not. The problem with my setup was that I'd hit a substitute as usual, but then when one of their Pokemon would hit Stepson, which would knock him out immediately since he's half their level, it would force me to bring out Harold, only to get hit with Earthquake by Claydol, which would then take out my substitute and Harold. This would leave little health left for Gunnar once I used Belly Drum, which would also leave him open to attacks and defeat. So you know what I did? Ready for this crazy strat? I stopped using substitute.
That's bad.
Can I go now?
I just used Belly Drum first and gave Gunnar a berry to hold. This gave him enough health to survive Earthquake from Claydol and then counter with Shadow Ball. With the maxed attack stats, this is now a one-shot. And I used Harold's turn to give Gunnar a Hyper Potion just in case. A simple strat that I really should have had in mind going in, since I grabbed Shadow Ball basically for this gym. The substitute strategy and all that is important if I'm using Flail, but other than that, hey, I told you I wasn't smart. Speaking of not being smart, I forgot to do the second part of the Team Magma ending quest. Yeah, I immediately left for Pacifilog Town and then realized there's zero reason to go to Pacifilog Town. I'd love to blame this one on the game, but I can't. This was just me. Because if you take more than like 30 seconds to walk around Moss Deep City, the game spells out where to go. But you know what? I liked wasting 20 minutes of my life swimming to my favorite Pokemon town and back. I didn't need those 20 minutes anyway, because when I'm 80 and my body is frail, broken, and riddled with dementia, I won't need to spend those 20 minutes anyhow. But I did have fun battling Red Team with Steven, if only for the novelty of it. While the AI obviously isn't great, it's a clever use of the mechanic and I'm glad it's only in here once. Makes it feel more epic and special, and don't worry, my level 65 Porcupine cleaned house, in case you were worried. It comes out of nowhere, but it's at this point that Maxie decides that his whole plan is misguided and he decides to tell Blue Team about it. Maybe it's not out of nowhere. He did say that the constant failure led him to this conclusion, which I can certainly relate to. Okay, I take it back. MaxiPad comes to the logical conclusion that he's a waste of space and every decision that he's ever made in his life has been wrong, just like George on that one episode of Seinfeld. Man, Jennifer Aniston is so hot, and speaking of friends, Steven doesn't have many, but he did invite me over to play Game Boy. To be fair, I don't really like him all that much, but he's a latchkey kid, and his house has Nintendo and Cheetos, so for now we're friends. Such good friends that he gave me the HM Dive to borrow, and I'm such a good friend that he's never getting it back. And now Dive is required to finish up the story and reach the 8th gym, and neither Gunnar nor the two lazy bums on my team can learn it, so...
We went fishing.
And what luck that I found the one spot Team Aqua decided to hide in. I'm just too smart for this game. I've got gamer knowledge and it just flows through my veins. The doctor says it's elevated blood sugar, but it's a proven fact. Doctors hate gamers. I'm not about to let some college boy tell me that I have diabetes and they're going to take my feet. I can cut my own toes off. I don't need to pay for someone's golf trip too. Speaking of being smart, I was stumped for 10 real-life minutes trying to figure out a basic puzzle in this 25-year-old game. No, I'm not kidding. Look.
Get alive!
I smelt burnt toast the whole time. I was stumped. But using 110% of my power, I finally figured out that you just push the middle one up and then the ones on the left and right to their respective corners, and then the puzzle solves itself. I can make sarcastic jokes all day, but that was a generational level of stupidity. If you had told me that I had an IQ of -6, I'd believe you. That doctor I was just making fun of, he's going to legally diagnose me with lead poisoning after this. And frankly, I don't blame him. I took my frustrations out on Archie Bunker though, and he decided to wake Kyogre anyways, which makes me wonder why we had to fight in the first place. Like, I know it's to progress the story, but if I had lost, he'd have just activated the orb, right? So I win and he still activates it? I guess I have no room left to complain after my shameful display in trying to solve that puzzle. Besides, we're getting to my favorite part of the game. So the music cuts out and Maxie rushes in. The two bicker, kind of like Groudon and Kyogre, and we go back to the surface. It's pouring rain and it's thundering and there's this little eerie music going on while the two former enemies make peace and show remorse for what they've done. They decide to team up to try and fix it. Is it deep? No, but it doesn't have to be. It needs to be satisfying, which it is. The game even pauses to show us a freaking epic cutscene. For all of my complaints about the early story, the sheer spectacle of this late game here is awesome. After all these years, I still remember it. Emerald benefits from having the two competing factions as well. That's not in Sapphire or Ruby, even though they come together to do nothing. I mean, lore-wise, there's not really anything they can do about it, but still, it's my favorite part of the game by a mile. Steven takes me to see some guy named Wallace, and he knows all about some dragon called Rapunzel, but for some reason, he asks me to tell him where it is. I thought he was the expert. And what if, like, I didn't know? Would the game have taken me all the way to the sand tower or whatever and be like, nope, sorry, lol. It's already annoying enough to have to make my way all the way up to the sky pillar and back, but at least there's a nice little cutscene to go along with it. Some nice environmental storytelling too. When Rayquaza leaves the sky pillar, the sun and the rain effect spread to the area as well. It's a nice little touch. I also like the light blue of Pseudoopolis as well. It's a nice contrast to the storm that was there before. I got another gift for saving the world. This time it was Waterfall, which I'll need to get to the Elite Four, but I have just one more gym that stands in my way. You think I can do it? I don't. Maybe I should start to believe in myself, because for just the second time in this entire run, I one-shot everything and completed the final gym. I can't wait to finish this up. I feel like being level 66 is enough to get me through all of the Elite Four. But first, I need to end the dreams of a little sickly child. I think if I had money, I'd be like Scrooge. I'd absolutely push little Timmy Two Shoes, or whatever his name is, down a well. And Wally's no different. Like 6 hours ago, I said that Wally was like baby Jessica, and now here we are talking about pushing a small child down a well. Just kidding, it wasn't Wally, it was his cousin's second boyfriend or whatever. I'm sick of this, man. I just want this to end. But hey, now, you do have to admit, that's like C-tier comedy. Trust me, I know comedy. My whole life is a joke. But not as much of a joke as Wally, but none of them could stand up to the raw power of a level 69 Gooner. See, back in my day, that was the funny number. I still don't get it. Numbers aren't funny. They're hard to understand. I was actually level 70 by the time I got to the Elite Four, and now that I don't need HM support, I stashed my other 4 Pokemon. I only need to finish the challenge. Someday. Did I get you? I saw that one in the Simpsons movie 40 years ago and I cried because I thought my favorite Simpson family was actually going to get divorced. But they didn't. Oh yeah, spoilers. Alright, here we go, for real. The end of the run. It's only taken 32 pages and about 12 and a half hours of footage, let alone gameplay. I just hope you've made it this far in the video so that we can both say that we wasted our lives together. To make this extra difficult, I've also decided not to save after defeating any of the Elite Four members. If I lose, I have to do it all over again. So why not start with this loser? What's his name? Sydney? Only Australians are allowed to use that name. What a cultural appropriator. I feel like it's my duty to win now. And I did. I set up Belly Drum and Substitute on his mighty Ina, is that it? And then I just tore through his whole team. So much for being elite. Next up is Phoebe. She's the emo kid of the group. The whole reason I even went to Mount Pyre in the first place was because of her. I knew that Gooner's normal attacks wouldn't do anything against the Ghosts. So this time, when I set up, instead of using Flail, I used Shadow Ball. You might be asking why I used Substitute, since I didn't need the health penalty. Easy. None of the effects that Ghost types can usually inflict can hit me now. And after using Belly Drum again, I crushed her team too. In just 7 minutes of gameplay, I'm halfway done. Unless they have some sort of 5th challenger, which would be stupid. Why call it the Elite Four instead of literally anything else that would go with the number 5? The Ice Lady is different. We both use setup moves to open. I use Substitute, she uses Hail. Hail is annoying since I'm already cutting HP, and now I'm going to be taking even more damage. For a time, this will work in my favor since it only makes Flail that much more powerful, but by the time I got to just her second Pokemon, I forget its name, but it's like a sentient snowball with horns, I was down to just 12 health, and I wasn't sure how many Hail turns were left, so I used a Super Potion. The idea is that it wouldn't heal Gooner to full, which would make Flail still effective, and then I could tank the next hit with Substitute, and that's exactly what happened. But my only problem now is that I have no Substitute, and Flail is no longer at full power. My fear is that her Wellreen, I think that's how you say it, will be able to take the Flail, and then I won't have enough health to survive its counter. So instead of attacking, I used Substitute again and got down to 10 health. Perfect. I survived Ice Beam, and my now full-powered Flail got me the win. See, I might have learned a thing or 2 or 3 along the way here. Moby Dick is the last of the Elite Four, and I was nervous, but my strategy was unchanged. His opening 2 moves with Sheldon were Protect. Mine were Substitute and Belly Drum. Basically handed me the first win. Then I used Flail on his Altaria. It actually survived. So when he predictably used a full restore, I used Shadow Ball first to soften it up, and then Flail to finish it off, but I was getting worried. I felt like maybe I needed to reduce health some to power up Flail, but there's no real way to do that. I guess he learned from his mistakes too, since after his Kingdra survived the first Flail, he chose to use Surf again and take out my Substitute. I thought this would be an awesome time to cut health and use it again. Nope, too weak. With my move wasted, I lost. Hey, remember when I made that funny joke about the Korean War? It was like an hour ago. Well, this made me feel like I was in the middle of the Bay of Pigs because I just lost to a dirty communist. Don't believe me? Look at his hat. By the way, I'm 100% on board with McCarthyism, so long as it's directed at this one guy. But my loss made me go back and train up from level 71 to level 72, and then shove 6 rare candies down Gooner's throat. Is it ethical to use steroids in a Pokemon battle? Probably. After all, your favorite athlete uses them, and I don't care. So don't say anything about this, okay? You keep this between us. Alright, level 78 should be enough, right? Like, I know Gooner doesn't have the best attack stats, but really, I'm over leveled by 20 or 30 levels here. Nope, actually did worse. And I got through the Australian wannabe and the girl with the ghosts again, but then I lost to the Ice Lady. I don't even have a clever name for her either. My problem was that I used a Super Potion again to restore some but not all of Gooner's health. While this worked in the interim, I didn't trust my luck enough that the move Hail was going to stop before it actually knocked me out. So well, it got me past her last 2 Pokemons, it left me underpowered for Waldine and I lost. So I tried again. Beat Dark Viper AU, this girl again, the old lady with the ice, and finally, mercifully, got back to where I was. And I overthought it. See, I set up as normal, but this Kendra, whatever, the seahorse, I used Shadow Ball instead so that I could injure it enough to force him to use a full restore, which he did, but then I miscalculated. I tried to use Substitute again to cut my HP and seal my win, but Gunnar was too weak to use it, like what happened before. So I instead used a Super Potion in the hopes that I could tank the next attack from Kingdra, which is what happened, so my health was at 33, and Flail was therefore more powerful. I got through Kingdra, I got through Flygon in one shot, but his Dragon Tails looking thing cut my attack with Intimidate. This made me want to reuse Belly Drum, but I was too weak, so I used a Hyper Potion. I tried again with Substitute 2, but his attacks were more than what I could handle, and I lost. Again. Land Down Under, Women Glow, Men Plunder. Alright, for real this time. I set up both Substitute and Belly Drum and got through his Shelgon, one shot his Altaria, and then got back to the run killer Kingdra. I keep saying that wrong. I started off with Shadow Ball, which nearly got it, but then instead of using a full restore, it used Surf and got rid of my Substitute. I considered using a Hyper Potion, but instead used a Super Potion for the HP boost, enough that I could use Substitute again. But this let him use both Dragon Dance and Surf to knock out my Substitute again. Interestingly enough, I used Flail and one-shotted the Kingdra, so all of that potion nonsense was probably not worth it. But from there, I used a Hyper Potion as my opening move on Flygon. This was a mistake. He used Earthquake, which hit, and then I used Substitute to get back down to about 70 health, which he then used Earthquake again. And at this point, you know what? I just decided to go for it. I had 5 health left, I suck at this game, I just used Flail again. Beat Flygon, and now I was on to the last one. I don't know how to say its name, and I'm running out of paper with my typewriter. With just 5 health left, I went for it. Used Flail again right out of the gate. You know, I'd be a lot happier if this was it, but it's not. One man stands in the way of me beating my meat. Wallace. He left me at the Sky Pillar, so he already annoyed me, but he's not getting in the way of this run. I set up with a Substitute, he used Rain Dance. I used Belly Drum, he used Water Spout. It took out my Substitute, but if I learned anything from the past battle, it's that sometimes you just gotta push forwards. So I used Flail, and I won the first battle. Gunnar got to level 83, which gave me enough health, just barely, to use Substitute again, and get down to 3 health. Wallace countered with Hydro Pump. There's nothing I can do now. I just need to mash the attack button and hope for the best. And I beat Tentacruel. Then he had the Dancing Nightmare thing, and I can't take that serious. And I beat it too. I might just do this. Only 3 more stand in the way. Wish Cash was no obstacle either. The only ones left that can beat me are these last 2. Unfortunately, one of the remaining Pokemon is Gyarados. It has Intimidate, meaning that my Flail will no longer be at full power. I should still have enough speed to go first, but with this much health left, I need to be sure I can win with 1 hit. So do I? Do I dare? You know what? I've come too far to lose now. I'm sick of this. I'm just going to send it and see what happens. You know what? I think I might do this. Melodic is the only one left. I hit it, and it was over. I did it. I won. I really can't explain how happy I am. This was way harder than I could have imagined, and this was with me being over-leveled. And I'm sure someone could have optimized it better or not leveled so high and been more impressive, but I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy with no job and no friends and nothing but childhood memories to keep me warm, and this run has shattered those, but I don't care because I did it! And then Professor Dork insulted me, but I don't care. Well, okay, at the start, I didn't beat May with a Zigzagoon, so I guess I couldn't beat Pokemon Emerald with only Zigzagoon. Who'd have thought? But you know what? I'm still happy. So happy I made a new YouTube avatar going forward. And I'm putting him right on the Hall of Fame right there next to Gunnar. This is absolutely going on my resume. So what's next? I'm thinking of doing a COD run. And I promise I won't take 1.5 years this time. Maybe. Oh yeah, and I think I'm also gonna do like smaller, less funny video essays. This wasn't funny anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But at least I'll have more content out so that you know I'm not dead or, you know, got thrown out of the house or something. Am I forgetting anything else? Oh, shoot. You know what? I forgot what Watson wanted. I didn't even know you could skip that part. But, who cares? I'm done with Pokemon for a while. I'll be back. Probably. Okay, bye!